Hello everybody, this is toysareruss, and for this third-party figure showcase and review, we're going to be looking at the Newage Legendary Heroes. This is Destron Leader. I can't believe they've got away with that. This is Romulus. So first and foremost, I'm going to have to explain exactly who this particular figure is. Then we're going to compare him with some original Generation 1 Megatrons and some War for Cybertron Megatrons. We are of course going to have a look at the packaging, which again is very cheeky, and then of course bring in numerous different Optimus Primes just to give us an idea of how well this guy scales, along with some other Studioseries 86 figures as well. So as I start to move all of these out of the way, I'd like to remind anybody who's not subscribed to the channel, if you'd like to hit that subscribe button for me now please, because it really will help me out. And also to thank Shozy, because that's where I purchased this from, and as you can see there's a direct link in the description if you want to get one for yourself. Okay, so I've only been reviewing sort of third-party figures since, well, near enough 2 years, and apart from, or outside of Hasbro, shall we say, that this is probably one of the most anticipated figures, yeah, outside of Hasbro, without a doubt. So for those of you who don't know, this is made by Newage Toys, which it says there. Newage normally make legend scale figures about this sort of size, and they are not licensed by Hasbro or Takara because they have transforming figures. Of course, the ones which are licensed are figures like this, YOLO Park, Blockies, etc., all the ones that actually don't transform. So if they do transform, then they don't have a license, apart from RoboSend, just before somebody puts that in the comments. And of course, in a way, do I feel sorry for them? I don't really know, but basically what I'm trying to say is, as we know, because Hasbro always say quite a lot at the time, that, you know, it takes them from start to finish, perhaps 2 years to get a figure out like that. So this has probably been around about the same time, let's be honest. And I think they were bringing this out because at the time, let's be honest, we'd had, and we've now got, I think there's 13 uses of this particular mold for Megatron where he is a tank. And I thought that they saw, and I think they still do, think there's a gap in the market where they can make a Generation 1 alternate mode transforming Megatron. And that's exactly what this is. So they've been very cheeky. They're calling it S01, which is basically like Studioseries. They've still got Legendary Heroes down the side because that's what they call themselves. But as I say, most importantly, funnily enough, there's no pictures of it on the packaging. Maybe that's because, again, they're not allowed. But the alternate mode, I can confirm, and we'll show you, of course, is the Generation 1 Walther P38 gun. So there we go. There is a picture, of course, of him all over the packaging. There he is there. I'm going to take this sticker off. So this is fresh out of the box. And funnily enough, the reason why I've kept all these on is just to show you that they do make this sort of extra little bit of effort with their figures when you buy them, even the smaller ones. You know, I'm just being super honest. And they come with all this extra bit of protection, extra bit of packaging all over them all, just to make sure that exactly that they are nice and safe. I can't even get this off, and securely packaged. We're going to come to the figure in a second, but we're also going to look at the inside. So again, he comes packaged. Again, it doesn't have to abide by the same rules as Hasbro. With the plastics, that was the cover he was in. So he comes, as you say, like this. In all of this, there's a load of plastic because exactly the reason I've just said, they don't have to abide by the same rules. He comes with multiple different face plates, which we'll have a go at swapping in a later part of the video. He's got like a laser sword, and of course he's got his gun, and he's also got his mace, because this is, and there's two versions of this figure already, this is what they're saying to be the cartoon accurate deco. So exactly like you get Hasbro and Takara doing, and loads of companies do. In fact, a great example, there you go, that's Cartoon by Takara, that's Netflix, which was Toy, for obvious reasons, so you can tell which they are. So there is another version of this. I'm just wondering whether they will continue the trend and do perhaps even more. Anyhow, so that's the accessories you've got there. The instructions, I'm going to upload the transformation tutorial, because the instructions, this is the biggest problem with third-party figures, they are pretty much useless. So you can see that there is a lot going on there. So if I do an instructional one, hopefully it'll make it much easier. Right, let's have a look at the actual figure then. So what we're going to do, first impressions, we're going to do articulation. I do really want to take this off, but I might, there we go. I was going to say I might wait until the very end or for the next part, but I'm going to take it off now. Yeah. So articulation, first impressions, alternate mode, then come back and do them all important size comparisons. Now, first and foremost, the price of this is, I think it's about the same price as this guy. I brought, yeah, it must be actually, it's a bit less in English pounds, I think, but anyway, let's have a look at him. So lovely face sculpt, very detailed. Head is on a ball and socket, it will go all the way around, and a hinge as well actually, so it can actually move up and down, look up and down, etc. Shoulders will go all the way around unrestricted. They will swivel underneath the shoulder. They will double bend at the bicep. Huge amount of articulation there. Wrists articulated, very articulated fingers. Again, I suppose they're aiming this at a sort of commander class sort of price point, or going up against, shall we say, a commander class price point. This is insane though, guys. This is a genuine, they've got like a double ab crunch. You can see where it goes over twice. It's slightly spring loaded, but you've got a genuine ab crunch there, and then a separate bit on the top as well. See how that folds out? That is crazy. The fusion cannon, of course, you can take it off, but you can also extend it, which we'll have a look at again in a second. Even with all the ab crunching, etc., there is a full waist swivel like so. The hip skirts you can maneuver around, so you can take the legs all the way out, all the way. Oh, let's lift this. Will that come back? Okay. Oh no, these come out, but that's for transformation. So you can get it out about so far. The knee will kick back though. You've got your thigh swivel at the top. Look at all these things going on in there. It's going to be crazy. Knee bend, ankle tilt, rock, toe tap, etc. These are die cast heels, by the way. You can hopefully see that in the color, and indeed if you've got it in hand, you will definitely feel it in the touch. So overall, what we've got here is a super articulated figure, easily masterpiece level of articulation, and yeah, it does look really good. So first impressions is, and I don't normally say this about many third-party companies, oh, I've just popped his hand out, it is very good. So first impressions done. We're going to come right back, have a look at the alternate mode, and then when we come back, we'll do all the other changing the parts, using the different accessories, and of course, as I say, the important comparisons. So here we go, then I suppose in all honesty, this is what everybody wants to see. This is the alternate mode, and it is very good. I haven't attached the scope yet. I'm going to show you that in a second. Everything just folds away really cleverly. It's, yeah, transformation's crazy to be fair. So I will upload a separate tutorial just so you can see for it yourself, but it's, even though you've got all these panels and you can see there it was quite intricate and there was a lot going on, it is really smooth. There's nothing really sticking out. There's no huge gaps. You've got this trigger thing that works, of course, no problem whatsoever. You can actually, if you wanted to, you can take the actual barrel off. All important comparison, wherever I put my G1 Megatron, let's grab him and see how he looks compared to that. That is the one that we want to see. I'm looking around everywhere. I've got so many figures, and this is of course your G1 Megatron. So how are they looking? G1 Megatron is slightly taller. Again, this is the chrome, so I think the toy version of this has the chrome as well. This is roughly, it's only a fraction smaller. I think the irony of as well, looking at this, if they'd have gone with the same sort of dimensions as the original, and you're probably looking at it would have been tall enough to go with the commander class. As I was saying in the first part, you know, I think they had this figure in the pipeline due to the amount of tanks, and then I presume that they were thinking, oh, let's, you know, they're not going to change it, they're going to go with a tank, but they upgraded Optimus Prime, and I'm sure that they weren't aware of that. Right, what we've got here is this moves around. When it's in robot mode, you need that tab there, and when it's in this mode, other way around, yeah, that's it. So it goes further back, the scope is over there, and as I said, this does extend, so it is exactly, you know, what you want it to be. The problem that I suppose that you've got with all of these is, you know, with the alternate mode anyway, it's never, to my opinion, I don't think it's ever going to be really displayed in this particular mode, because you can't really do it. I understand people, you know, who want to see it, who want to see this mode, and as I say, I love Megatron. I'm lucky enough to have a couple of Generation 1 Megatrons, and of course he always will be, as silly as it sounds, he always will be this particular mode to me, but I'm, you know, I've come to terms with living with the fact that he is going to be a tank from now on. In fact, he was a tank from G2, of course. So in fact, he was Action Master. He was a tank in the Action Master at the tail end of Generation 1. So with regards to some other sort of size comparisons, there is an Optimus Prime there. I'm wondering, I don't think it's actually big. I think it's way too big actually to fit into like a Titan's hand, and he definitely will not be fitting in Starscream's hand if you want to, of course, replicate that scene from the 86 movie. So as I say, that's what I've said a few times about the fact that I'm okay with it being a tank, whether we get to the Studioseries 86, because no matter what, I'm going to be displaying him in his robot mode anyway. Now, you can't attach any of these accessories anywhere. I'm just really surprised actually how good a size comparison it sort of is. Funnily enough, if we're talking about, you know, sort of toys and going with Toy Deco, ironically enough, that's the original vintage Takara, which was like a gunmetal grey plastic sort of colour. So it's not too far off that. Now, the other thing that you've probably noticed straight away, and you may start to ask, is the omission of stickers and, of course, faction symbols. You're never going to get a Decepticon faction symbol because A, they're not allowed, and B, I'm sure they wouldn't even dare to do it. But a lot of the times when you buy from third-party companies, you will get a sticker sheet and you can pop them on yourself. There's, of course, no other decoration from the toy because this, again, just to reiterate, it is based on the cartoon appearance. So, of course, in the cartoon, he was quite bland, shall we say, or he didn't have too much detail on him, did he? But there you go, guys. I know this is the bit that you all wanted to see part of, but I'm sure the most important bits are what you want to see next, and that is, of course, a load of size comparisons from this guy. And let's get him back to his robot mode then. So we're back for the final time with him in his robot mode, and yes, he is faceless. That is, of course, deliberate. And yeah, I'm going to show you first and foremost how to transform, or how to change the face. Now, to be honest, I just popped it off while I was just transforming him, and I wanted to see how difficult it was. And because I don't have much nails left, I thought I might as well keep it off just so I can show you how to change it. And this, again, is another thing that I think Takara Masterpiece started it first. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I'm sure they did. But of course, third-party companies really take this to town now with the amount of different face plates that they do have. So one of them was the original one. I think it was that one. There's there's three to choose from. So you've got an open mouth, you've got a sort of snarling one, and then you've got a smirking face. So where's the smirk? There it is. So all I did, it looks like what you've got to do is I can't hold on to these. I'm just going to have to go with this one now. Slot that into position. And yeah, there you go. You can see, oh, so you need to hold it at the same time. Again, we're all learning. The other thing you can tell, if you're wondering, I don't watch anybody else's videos. I want everything to be completely, I suppose, authentic is the word. So sometimes I mess things up. Sometimes I miss things out. And sometimes things like that don't go exactly to plan. Has it pushed all the way in? There we go. You just needed a little bit of force. Again, I was perhaps a little too apprehensive to push that down. So there's a different face on him. Yeah, he's great. As I say, the articulation, I think, is surprising me the most. And again, I have to say this and admit it, I'm useless at posing figures, but I'm sure you could do some incredibly crazy ones with this. I don't even know how I'm going to put him, but yeah, with that ankle tilt and rock, there's loads of things you can do. I'm wondering if it's blast effect. No, that definitely will not be blast effect compatible, or not with Hasbro ones anyway, shall we say. But you get the gist of, I suppose, just how articulate he is. Right, let's start off with a couple of Megatrons then, first and foremost. So let's stand you up straight like so. There we go. So funnily enough, just because he's here, there is a concept one, which is much, much bigger. And then we've got, to be honest, I really like this. I still really like the Netflix one. I think it looks great. But I've got to confess, with these all now standing next to each other, this one, well, again, of course, I've just answered my own question. He looks slightly out of proportion, or he doesn't look as well in proportion as this one, because, of course, he transforms into a tank. And that's exactly why. So I've just sort of answered my own question, or answered my own statement as to why they look different. So this guy's going to look exactly the same, isn't he? So if I bring him in, this is one of my favourite versions of that mould. That is, of course, the 35th anniversary cell-shaded one. And again, because of his giant chest, he does look slightly out of proportion. So it will be interesting to see if they do manage to get that right, because if he is going to be a tank, he can't be as wide as that, because it just doesn't look... Only when I've got a figure like this in front of me is it really apparent and really noticeable just how much wider that chest is on him. Right, G1 Megatron then. So this one is one of my old, heavily played with ones. He's just going to fit his suit, use him fit for purpose rather. He just stands on a shelf. Let me get him to move over. And as I said, I'm lucky enough to have this Takara one as well, which, there you go, they're not as big. It's funny, isn't it? It's funny how they manage to, in these figures, make them taller. They seem to expand them up when they get them changed into their other modes. So there's some Megatrons for you. I don't really think there's much point bringing in the Titans Return one. I will do that on a short if you really want me to, guys. If there's any figures that you want me to do on a short, like I'm doing with Optimus Prime, with the height comparisons, I'm more than happy to do that with this particular figure as well. Now, I did bring this in because I thought he was going to have the particular weapon, but on the pictures I've seen, this must only come with the Toy Deco one, because that again is the original Megatron's weapon rather than the fusion cannon. Now, it looks like these weapons are just going to fit in. Now, what I'm saying by that is they haven't got, you know, some Masterpiece figures have like the indentations inside the hands, etc., where you could bring in other figures. Sorry, you could just get them to fix in. Now, whereas with this, you're going on, hopefully, yeah, you see the look. And as I'm useless with this, it looks like what you've got to do is make the hole yourself. So this is a bit of a negative. I'm just going to be completely honest. This is a bit of a negative, because if you're no good at making the holes, and if it doesn't hold tight enough, then it's not going to hold. Well, that's held in, thankfully. That's held in okay, so that sort of answered that question. But I think you know what I was saying, that if there isn't anything for it to fix into, shall we say, it might not always hold. It's holding for now, and I'm intentionally, I suppose, rocking it around quite a bit as well, just to see if it falls out. So again, because I'm just trying to avoid as many questions, or answer as many questions as I can in the one video. Actually, that does seem pretty tight. I'm not going to lie, that does seem pretty tight. It's holding that all right by the looks of it. And of course, the gun would be much easier because it's got a wider handle. So there we go. I'm actually, in honesty, I'm really sort of quite happy with how that looks. Right, let's start the Optimus Prime. In fact, no, we'll save the Optimus Prime comparisons. We'll bring in some other Decepticons first and foremost. So if he stands there like that. So I know this isn't supposed to, well, the same toy line. This is the comic one as well, but it's just in case anybody wants to know how big he is compared to Shockwave. That, of course, is the 86, so he won't be very pleased in seeing him there in his coronation gear. To be fair, he's probably going to be less pleased to see this guy standing, especially in his formatting, I suppose, colours like that. Let's move him out of the way. Let's have a quick look at this. Let's have a face-off with them. That's looking all right. But again, you can see, I don't even know, he's not even as big as your 86. Well, I don't say 86, but it is, of course, the same mold. He's not going to be as big as your 86 Galvatron either. A couple of other figures then. So I've gone for a Cyclonus. So yeah, you can see he's actually height-wise not as tall as Voyager classes. What you're paying for, again, guys, is the engineering. I use Hasbro's Hot Rod and indeed their Ironhide as an example of exactly that, you know, where the engineering makes it cost that little bit more. There is a reflector, and of course, I know it's refractor, but I call him reflector and Cyclonus. Okay, then I've kept you waiting long enough. Let's go. That's not the one that you wanted to see. I know it's not. So yeah, let's do the ones you don't particularly want to see, but you never know, you might. That's Masterpiece Jinrai. That's Studioseries Transformers 1. Then let's get the ones, of course, I suppose, that you do want to see. So as I say, that is Takara's Cartoon Deco Earthrise Optimus Prime. That is Hasbro's Netflix Earthrise Optimus Prime, like so. And again, he scales really well with these. In fact, he probably scales a little bit better. And this, again, was probably what he was designed to scale with. Earthrise. So not Earthrise, Siege. So there's Siege's mold. He's that tall. Let's get this one back in. There's Netflix, just again, so we can do that. I mean, he's still going to scale pretty well, guys. He's only a slightly bit taller. If you've got him standing on a shelf, then he's going to look not too bad at all. Right there, of course, yeah, he's quite a bit smaller than him. We've got to be super honest. He's quite a bit smaller than him. He really is. But the interesting thing is, whether Newage will now continue with this sort of chug scale figures. It will be interesting to see if they do. Way bigger than him, though. Way bigger than him. And this guy's not even going to fit on screen. No, you can tell I've been doing lots of Optimus Prime videos recently. But hopefully, as I say, I don't want to say I've done him justice. I think hopefully he is a good figure. He's very good. He surprised me, in fact, at how good he actually is. But hopefully I've answered a lot of questions as well, because the amount of people who are saying he's a KO, he's not a KO at all. This is Newage's own mold. That's the mold that they particularly made, as I say, of him. Yes, he's not licensed by Hasbro or Takara, but he's not a KO. So hopefully that's answered a lot of the questions for you. In the meantime, though, guys, that is your Newage Romulus, as he's called, but to everybody else, he's going to be referred to as Studioseries at the moment, Megatron. There we go. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. And again, if you want one, there's a direct link in the description. Thanks for watching. Take care.